Well, that was a whole load of fun, wasn't it? Greatest Royal Rumble, a pay-per-view or a network special, however you look at it, that has been hyped to the ends of the goddamn earth by WWE. All these big title matches and the biggest Royal Rumble we've ever seen. We're expected to really buy into it. It was going to be this great big night and this huge celebration of wrestling and of Saudi Arabia and of wrestling in Saudi Arabia. And it was a house show, wasn't it? It was really, really good. Really good house show. You could call it greatest house show or oil rumble. I've seen all the things on Twitter, but we got what we got, didn't we? So now is the time, the important part of the evening, where I, a tired man, must stand in front of you and dissect each and every individual match and then assign it a star rating. If only there was an easier way to do this, like, you know, giving it a binary good and bad marker, like an up or a down or something. We should do that show. Anyway, my name is Adam Cleary and welcome to Greatest Royal Rumble Star Ratings. So first we had Triple H versus John Cena in a match that was arguably the biggest match of its kind ever seen in the Middle East thus far. I mean, it was two of the biggest stars in the company's history having, what I've discovered, is a rubber match. They've both wrestled each other on pay-per-view twice and got one win each. So technically, this was the decider, even though, yes, it obviously definitely didn't feel like it. Two veterans who are so used to working in front of WWE live crowds, like they've done it for pretty much their entire lives. They gave us what is ostensibly a typical, perfectly functional house show match. They got a lot out of a little. They were just big stars getting a few little moves in, but predominantly just working the crowd. Very much Hogan versus Warrior, just without the whole, you know, actual spectacle element of it. It was absolutely fine. I'm going to say through the course of this video that something was very house showy, because that describes a lot of what we saw. But ultimately, yeah, they got a lot out of a little. It might have been a little slow for a lot of people, a lot slower than what we're used to, but that's the kind of match that the company was built upon, and I personally thought it was really good. So 3.5 stars. Next, we got Cedric Alexander, fast becoming, in my opinion, one of the best stars in the entire company, versus Kalisto, who we've all made fun of quite a lot. Now, nobody was really expecting too much from this match, by and large. Quite unfairly, in my opinion, the Cruiserweight title matches tend to be not all that hyped up, but we got something that, again, was a lot better than it probably had any real right to be. The only problem was they filled it full of flippy stuff. I'm trying to not swear for the sake of our poor editors, and the crowd, from what we could hear anyway, were just not into it. But that aside, there was good back and forth, the momentum was very good, the pacing was very good, the high spots when they did come, not just the regulation flippy stuff, was excellent. And in the opinion of not just myself, but the entire WhatCulture office, there's a real something happening with Cedric Alexander now, and you can tell because he's starting to get better matches out of the people he's with. And this was a match that you wouldn't have thought Kalisto had in him prior to this, and we've got to say that's probably all down to Cedric. Like, no disrespect to Kalisto, he's perfectly functional, he can do good matches, but this was a level above that, and they're starting to become a running theme with Cedric matches, that they're putting him with people who you wouldn't expect a lot of, but he's getting quite a lot out of them, quite the opposite of Triple H versus John Cena. Anyway, I'm blabbering now, we're giving it 3 stars. Next, we got Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, or the Deleters of Worlds, or whatever they're calling themselves, versus The Bar in what was the only title change of the night, which sounds exciting, but it was just default, wasn't it? Because it was the only one that had to change regardless who won. Ooh, and to think I said they might change every title. Shows what I know. Anyway, this match was perfectly fine. Again, it was another atypical house show performance where not a lot really happened, but they worked the crowd. They got a lot out of a little. I'm going to say that a lot, I suspect, in this video. While it was obvious that Hardy and Wyatt had very good chemistry as opponents, it's becoming very quickly obvious that they have very good chemistry as a team now as well. Pretty much every single camera shot we got of one of them, if the other was in the background, they were echoing their partner's body language or accentuating what they were doing, and that's a very underrated skill. For a tag team, they could do a lot more of these matches. They've obviously got very good chemistry with The Bar as well as with themselves, so we could get more of this, but you suspect, given that Sheamus and Cesaro have been around the Raw tag team titles for so long now, they're going to move them quickly on to other opponents, which is and isn't a shame. Anyway, that finisher though, can we talk about that finisher? The twist of fate into the wheelbarrow thing. From a certain angle, that looks like whoever Bray Wyatt is holding, it looks like they're his trousers, and he's just just letting his trousers fall down. And that's very bad. I think Jules said this on the live stream. They should do a Sister Abigail into a leg drop by Hardy. That would be very, very good. Anyway, we're giving this 2 1/4 stars. US title now, and Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal, and I feel silly because I've become quite the big defender of Jinder in recent months. I think his spot as like a title threat in the mid-card is perfectly suited to his abilities, and I actually think his last couple of matches have been pretty good. But this was bad. This was really, really, really bad. This was sloppy and had no storyline in it, and had no pace, and had no structure, and had so many botches. That whisper in the wind, man, he was about... Jeff Hardy was closer to hitting me sat in Gateshead than he was hitting Jinder Mahal for that. It was dreadful. Absolutely hopeless. 1.5 stars. Bludgeons versus Usos next for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and a great example of just how important chemistry is to a wrestling match. They were given no time, they were given no big spots, they didn't really have a chance to showcase what either of them could do, but simply by virtue of the fact that they work well together as a four, it was quite a good match. Now this might just be a product of it being a bit of a house show. I say a bit of house show, it was a massive house show, greatest house show, but the Usos got in a lot of offense on the Bludgeons before they got predictably roundly pumped. I don't know why, because you can very easily just give the Bludgeons another big squash on another big stage and really establish them as a dominant tag team, but the Usos got quite a lot in. It was quite an even contest. They were going to do a squash, it would have been this, and they didn't, so fair enough. It was very enjoyable. 2.5 stars. The 4-way Intercontinental title match for the ladder, and a very good example here of just how important a good finish is. We had 4 incredible workers and 4 incredible professionals in the ring for this match, and if you want more proof of that, look at how many times the ladder tried to mess things up for them. It fell over and Joe very quickly just slammed Finn onto it, made it look like the spot was deliberate, and even when Joe was thrown into it later on and it fell backwards when it wasn't supposed to, he really quickly adjusted the angle he was falling at and pulled it down on top of him. That is just such a mark of great in-ring awareness and wrestling, and it's going to be a real privilege to see where these guys go from here. It's just a shame they're splitting them up. Again, with this being a house show, and I'm getting sick of saying that as well, the big spots that we normally associate with being in ladder matches were there, but they weren't really all that high risk. Nobody was putting their body on the line to really get a massive reaction from the crowd. They were quite subdued, but still the 4 guys kept the energy very high, and they managed to keep the excitement of there just being a ladder in the ring there. They used it well enough, I thought. Plus, that finish was really, really good. I don't know why I haven't seen that before. Someone just jumping clean onto the ladder, running up and grabbing it quickly. Almost makes you wonder why it doesn't happen at the start of every single ladder match, but nonetheless, in a one-off, I thought that was a great finish, and congratulations to Seth Rollins. I hope he holds that belt forever. 3.5 stars. AJ Styles versus Nakamura for the WWE Championship, and let us not kid ourselves, right up until the finish, this was better than their match at WrestleMania. A lot of people, myself included, made a bit of an excuse for them after the show of shows that maybe they were holding back until the rivalry had run on for long enough, or until their feud felt like it had reached boiling point, but they did it again. We're gonna have to make that excuse for them again, because again, it feels like we've just had another half a match, another segment to a match. The pace here was really good, the spots were really good, the moves were really good, the dynamic between there being a clear heel and a clear face was really, really good, the action was really good, the moves were really good, it was all really, 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 really good. And then ding, 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 ding. A double count-out finish with Styles snapping and pummeling Nakamura after the bell is a fantastic way to carry this story forward if you don't want to immediately put the belt on Nakamura, but this match, at that point, had not earned that finish. You need to go way longer. You need to have a much, much longer runtime and make this match so much more brutal than it actually was. You need to understand why Styles would just see red in that situation, even though he's retained the belt. And what we got was start of a very good match and the ending to a much better match. There was about 10 minutes missing from that, which should have been some of the best work the two of them had done on the company. 3.25 stars. Undertaker versus Rusev now, and I will keep this short and sweet. The way they are treating Rusev in this company at the moment is an absolute travesty, and no matter how much we love him, if The Undertaker is going to fall on his arse almost just delivering a right hook, he has no business being in that ring burying talented guys 20 years his junior. That's it. 1.5 stars. Brock versus Roman now, again, hooray, and I had absolutely no idea where they were going to go with this. I wasn't as down on their WrestleMania match as I think a lot of people were, but I did see that obviously that only happened because they were going to coronate him in Saudi Arabia to a far more understanding crowd. Nailed on, guaranteed. And they didn't. The weird thing about this was if you told me at the start of the night they weren't going to have Roman win the belt, I would have said, ooh, that's a big shock. But by the time we got to that point in the night where absolutely nothing of any significance was actually happening in any of the matches, it wasn't a shock. The shock would have been if there had been a shock. So the fact that there was no shock was, I guess, kind of a shock. You know what it is? For all people complaining that Roman gets pushed down our throats, that man is getting buried in the year of our Lord 2018. He got unceremoniously dumped out of the Rumble. He has had his arse handed to him in his 2 major title shots. I have zero idea what they're doing with him or where they're going to go with him, but it's getting harder and harder to argue that he's somehow Vince's boy. The match itself was fine, I guess. Again, very house showy. Jules said on the stream it was like playing 2K with somebody with specials turned up to unlimited, and there's not really much more you can say about it than that, is there? I've got no idea what they're going to do with Brock other than having him cynically beat Punk's world title record, and Roman's feet definitely touched the floor first, didn't they? So they're going to have to give him another match now because he's technically been robbed, no matter how much commentary wanted to gloss over that. So yeah, 2 3/4 stars from us. Greatest Royal Rumble now, the main event to end all main events, and good goddamn, where do I even start with this? It was just a Royal Rumble, wasn't it? There were some nice spots, there was a lot of great interactions between unlikely pairings of wrestlers, but the crucial thing is the difference between greatest Royal Rumble and regulation Royal Rumble was that there was just no stakes, was there? Every single Royal Rumble I've ever watched has been to decide the direction of the company for the next 3 to 6 to 12 months, and you're constantly looking at it thinking, well, if he wins, or he does this, or he gets this, he gets this, he gets this, and your mind's racing. And just for this, I was like, who's gonna pick up the big trophy? It never felt like it mattered, and I never realized how much a Rumble needs that to be entertaining. Aside from Daniel Bryan, who was very clearly only there to be a valiant Iron Man and potentially, if they're going to count it, break the record for the longest ever stint in the match, they kept every single one of the believable winners until the last couple of spots. Like, all the people who could have conceivably won it were in the last 5 or 6, and on a show where the only shock was that there were no shocks, it was just always going to be Braun, and that took the edge off it slightly. But in spite of all that, it was really bloody fun, wasn't it? Because that's what Royal Rumbles always are. They might not give you the right result, they might not go the right way, but they're always really, really entertaining. And this was. Like, Shane McMahon might be dead for all we know. Big Cass might potentially never walk again, thanks to Bobby Lashley. That's one of the worst botches I've ever seen in my life. Daniel Bryan's chest. Dear God, if you know who did that to him, tweet me immediately, because he needs to be protected and is very precious to all of us. And if Vince isn't going to do it, then I damn well sure am. And Titus O'Neil. Oh God, Titus O'Neil. He has immortalized himself forever in wrestling history by becoming the go-to meme that every single person in the world will use. That man is going to be the most gift human being on the planet for the next 6 to 12 months. Titus World Slide, as I said on the stream, I was incredibly proud of. But yeah, ultimately, it was a lot of fun. Braun won the belt, which he'll never defend, and he won a trophy, which he couldn't even lift. It was a lot of fun, but ultimately it didn't matter at all, which is pretty much how you would sum up the entire show. Not some significant global event that the wrestling world had to tune into, not some bold new direction for WWE, either in terms of business or in terms of their storylines, just a show where we got to see our favorite WWE superstars doing what they do best. Absolutely nothing happened here. Come Monday Night Raw, none of this will matter, none of this will have occurred. We'll have new tag team champions because we had to have new tag team champions. We'll see a highlights package of Braun Strowman and a trophy he couldn't lift, but ultimately, what else? Nothing. It was the full house show experience. Go, have a good time, forget all about it tomorrow. And you shouldn't forget all about it tomorrow. You should have enjoyed yourself, and we did, watching it, but there's no real reason for this. It didn't matter at all, which is fine, I guess, because now I haven't got to worry about, oh, what are they going to do next? Oh, what does all this mean? It's greatly reduced the number of videos we can do, actually, so that's kind of annoying. But yes, I'm blathering, so I'll get away now. That was Greatest Royal Rumble, the biggest, most exciting, sensational, spectacular showpiece that might as well have never happened. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below, as well as what your star ratings for the matches were as well. We're always interested to get your opinions, except for you, Uncle Dave. You can spin on it. Anyway, my name has been Adam Cleary, and until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye. Well, would you look at that? You got all the way to the end of the video, and your mother said you'd amount to nothing. What are the chances? While you're here, why not watch one of our other many, possibly quite good channels, or watch another video which will be largely in the same vein as the quality content you've just endured. Go on then.